There is a map that your real estate agent has never shown you. It does not exist on Zillow. You will not find it on Realtor.com. Your lender has no reason to hand it to you at the closing table. The people who profit from your transaction have no structural incentive to show you this data before you sign. But the information that builds that map is completely public. Assembled by federal agencies, university researchers, analytics firms, and investigators who followed the money. Nobody ever put it in front of you in one place. Until now. I'm Michael, and you're watching CurbReport. Today, we're building the map they never built for you. 64% of U.S. homeowners were shocked or surprised by their most recent property tax bill, according to a March 2026 survey of 2,500 homeowners by Ownwell. Not mildly caught off guard. Not slightly annoyed. Shocked. And that number is up from 59% just 12 months earlier. The share of Americans getting blindsided by the actual cost of owning their own home is growing. Year over year. This is not a coincidence. It is a system. And today, we are building the map together. Here is the one number you need before we go location by location. American homeowners are paying 45% more in escrow costs compared to 5 years ago. 45%. Non-mortgage costs, property taxes, insurance, utilities, jumped 30% in 2025 alone, according to Cotality's January 2026 report. That is the fastest single-year increase since they began tracking it. Realtor.com's senior economist Joel Berner said it directly: growing escrow payments can absolutely price would-be homeowners out of buying a home. Not might. Not potentially. Absolutely. So, 5 locations. 5 completely different hidden mechanisms. 5 ways the market is telling one story to your face, while the data tells another story entirely behind your back. Let's go. Location 1. Not Atlanta itself. The suburbs. Specifically Paulding County, about an hour northwest of downtown, and the broader outer ring of metro Atlanta counties where something extraordinary has been happening without most buyers realizing it. Here is the data point that stops people cold. Atlanta leads the entire United States in institutional investor ownership of single-family rental homes. By a wide margin. The city and surrounding counties hold approximately 72,000 single-family homes owned by large corporations. Nearly double the number 2 metro, Phoenix. That figure represents roughly 30% of Atlanta's entire single-family rental market. 10 times the national average. And according to the American Economic Liberties Project's May 2026 report, in some Atlanta suburbs corporate ownership of actively listed rental homes now exceeds 70%. 70%. Think about what that means if you are a first-time buyer. You have your pre-approval. You have your down payment. You find a house in Paulding County that checks every box: 3 bedrooms, decent yard, a price that actually makes sense. You feel like you finally caught a break. What you cannot see from the street, the home you want is in a neighborhood where corporate acquisition teams have already systematically worked through the inventory. Where your offer at asking price is competing against 12 all-cash bids from firms that do not need a mortgage, do not need an inspection contingency, and can close in 14 days. This is not an abstract economic argument. It has a face and a name and a specific human cost. Shannon Banks, a real estate agent working in Paulding County, described her first-time buyer clients to reporters in vivid detail. The first 3 houses they put offers on wound up selling to investors, she said. My clients were offering more money. But sellers couldn't resist the instant cash. 6 months. It took that family 6 months to find a single home they could actually close on. And here is what those corporate acquisitions did to the people who already lived in the community. A 2023 study by Bryan and of the Georgia Institute of Technology found that heavy institutional investor purchases in the Atlanta area led to the loss of $4.9 billion in home equity from existing owners. More than two-thirds of that equity loss fell on Black households. $4.9 billion pulled out of working family wealth by corporate entities who bought systematically while everyone else was navigating a pandemic. Patty Long, who runs a local charity for people experiencing homelessness in Hiram, one of Paulding County's municipalities, told reporters, "There is not a single day of the week that I do not get a call from a desperate social worker whose client has been evicted because the rental price just kept getting higher." The federal government has now acknowledged this. President Trump signed an executive order in January 2026 calling out Wall Street investors in single-family housing. The Senate passed a bill 89-10. Near unanimous. Bipartisan. But here is the hard truth the headlines skip over: the bill as written does not force divestment. Companies that already own 72,000 homes in Atlanta get to keep them. Georgia State University geographer Taylor Shelton, who studies institutional investment in housing, said the carve-outs mean the legislation will have, in his words, not much, if any, impact on the status quo of corporate ownership. The cavalry came. And the cavalry has loopholes. Location 2. Denver, Colorado. A completely different threat. Nothing to do with corporate buyers. Everything to do with a mechanism buried so deep inside the closing process that most buyers never encounter it until it is far, far too late. Denver gets marketed as one of the most desirable cities in America. And for years, it earned that. Outdoor access. Tech sector. Young energy. Strong appreciation. But in 2026, Denver is sitting on one of the most disorienting property tax situations in the country. And the way it is hidden from buyers is both specific and infuriating. Colorado has experienced a 77% increase in combined property tax and homeowners insurance costs between 2019 and 2025. 77%. The highest of any state in the entire nation, according to Cotality. Higher than Florida. Higher than Texas. Colorado. 77. In the Denver metro specifically, Douglas County, Arapahoe County, Jefferson County, homeowners are currently absorbing property tax increases of between 20 and 40% on bills payable in 2026. A home valued at $600,000 in Douglas County could see its annual tax bill jump by $1,200 to $2,400. Just in taxes alone. On top of everything else. Here is how this hidden cost works. And why it keeps devastating buyers who thought they did everything right. When you apply for a mortgage, your lender quotes a monthly payment using current escrow estimates. They pull the most recent tax bill on file. They project your monthly escrow contribution from that number. They build your payment around it. You budget around it. You mentally commit to that number. But Colorado assesses property values every 2 years. And because Denver values surged dramatically in 2021 and 2022, when every remote worker with a laptop and a longing for mountains was relocating there, those inflated valuations are only now hitting the tax rolls in full. A buyer who closed on a Denver home in 2023 was quoted a payment based on a pre-surge assessment. Then the 2025 assessment cycle hit. Then the 2026 bill arrived. And it was not the number anyone planned for. Denver area real estate broker Sally Simmons wrote about this specifically in a 2026 buyer guide. Her phrasing was precise. The 2026 property tax situation changes the math for buyers in a way that is material and frequently underestimated. She advises sellers to proactively share current tax figures because buyers working at the top of their approval, which is most first-time buyers in a market like Denver, may need to revise their offer entirely when the real monthly number surfaces. A buyer who stretches their offer, and then gets a shock at final payment disclosure, is a deal that falls apart. After the inspection, after the appraisal, after months of emotional investment, after a family has already mentally moved in. 9 in 10 Denver area homeowners surveyed by Ownwell in 2026 said they are concerned about rising property taxes. 3 in 4 have never filed a single appeal. The Colorado appeal window typically opens May 1st and closes June 1st. Most homeowners have no idea it exists. And for a homeowner facing an extra $1,500 or $2,000 a year on a middle-class income, that appeal is worth pursuing with everything they have got. Now pause for a second. Because I want you to feel the architecture of what we are building. Atlanta, a corporate ownership crisis reshaping who can even compete for a starter home. Denver, a tax trap engineered into the closing process itself, invisible until the bill arrives. 2 completely different threats. 2 completely different mechanisms. Both invisible to the average buyer until the damage is done. The third location is where a tax shock wave is hitting even harder, inside a market that the entire real estate press is currently calling one of America's best affordable entry points. Location 3. Indianapolis, Indiana. Here is the headline you would have seen about Indianapolis in most real estate media over the past 2 years. Affordable Midwest market. Strong rental demand. Great entry point for buyers priced out of coastal cities. And on the surface, some of that is technically true. But the tax story here breaks through the marketing in a way that should make any buyer heading to Indianapolis slow down and read the actual numbers. Marion County, which is Indianapolis, added nearly $5.5 billion in assessed value to commercial and industrial properties for the January 1, 2025 assessment date. $5.5 billion. In one assessment cycle. And a second round of substantial increases is already set in motion for 2026 payable 2027 taxes. The next hit is already scheduled. It is already in the pipeline. Higher bills from those 2025 assessments are arriving in Indianapolis mailboxes right now. Indiana statewide net tax on homesteads increased an average of 7.8% just from 2024 to 2025. According to Indiana's Office of Fiscal and Management Analysis. And about 24 counties across the state saw double-digit increases in the same period. Posey County hit 19.6% in a single year. Purdue University Emeritus Economics Professor Larry DeBoer, one of the most respected property tax analysts in the state, identified the mechanism directly. Tax rates fell, but not by as much as assessed values rose. So bills are up. The rate going down is a story. The bill going up is the reality. And most homeowners only see the bill. For low-value homes, the starter inventory, the entry-level properties, the exact homes where Indianapolis's middle-class buyer base is concentrated, the relief mechanisms in Indiana's new tax law provide proportionally less benefit. The families who need the most help get the least of it. An AARP survey of Indiana homeowners 50 and older found that 44%, nearly half, were concerned about being able to afford property taxes on a home they already own. Not a new purchase. The home they are living in today. Worried about the ability to stay. And that word, stay, carries a specific weight for retirees and older homeowners who bought in Indianapolis decades ago when property taxes were manageable. Who planned their fixed incomes around a cost structure that the assessment cycle has now fundamentally rewritten beneath them. Who are finding out, at the worst possible time in their financial lives, that the home they fully paid off is still bleeding them dry every single year through a tax bill that keeps climbing. House poor without a mortgage. It sounds impossible. The data says it is happening in Indianapolis right now. Location 4. Memphis, Tennessee. This one requires us to talk about something that the real estate industry almost never discusses honestly. Because it cuts against the fundamental sales narrative that every listing, every agent, and every open house is built around. The idea that real estate always goes up. Memphis is marketed as a value city. Affordable entry point. Strong rental yields. A place where a working family can still buy a home for under $200,000 and feel like they are making a smart financial move. And for certain buyers in certain cycles, that pitch has been accurate. But here is what nobody is showing families who are shopping Memphis right now in 2026. Year-over-year home value growth in Memphis declined to negative 0.8% in 2025. According to Reventure App's analysis of county-level housing data, that is a stark and brutal reversal from the city's pandemic-era peak, which hit 18.3% appreciation in 2022. 18.3% to negative 0.8%. The home price forecast score for Memphis currently sits at 32 out of 100. On Reventure's scale, a score below 45 signals a declining market. 32 does not mean slow growth. 32 means the market is actively moving in the wrong direction for buyers who need their home to build equity. And here is where the emotional reality of this data becomes genuinely devastating if you sit with it fully. A family saves for years. They scrape together a down payment. They qualify for a mortgage at the top of what their budget can handle. They find a house in Memphis that feels like a victory, under $200,000, 3 bedrooms, a yard, something to show for all the years of working and saving and waiting. They feel like they finally caught the market at the right time. They close in mid-2025. And then the value of what they just bought goes down. Not dramatically in month 1. Gradually. Quietly. The kind of decline you do not see until you check the Zillow estimate a year later and realize the number is lower than what you paid. The kind of loss that does not announce itself with a news alert. It just happens. While you are living your life. While you are making your monthly payment. While you believe you are building wealth. That is the falling knife trap. And it is one of the most psychologically damaging financial experiences available to the American middle class, not because you did anything wrong, not because you were reckless, but because you were given a narrative about a city that the underlying data had already contradicted. The Reventure score trajectory tells this story with painful clarity. At the peak of 2021 and 2022, Memphis hit a forecast score of 75 out of 100. That number reflected genuine momentum, real migration, real demand, prices moving in a direction that rewarded buyers. From 75 to 32. That collapse in the forecast score represents 2 consecutive years of sharp deceleration followed by an outright drop into negative appreciation territory. And the families sitting on Memphis homes they bought anywhere near the 2022 to 2024 window are now underwater on the appreciation story they were sold. Not necessarily on their mortgage. If they put money down, they may still have technical equity. But on the promise. On the reason they chose Memphis specifically. They were told it was a deal. The data now says it was a falling knife they caught with both hands. And what makes the Memphis situation particularly cruel is the silence around it. There is no news alert when your home's Reventure score drops from 60 to 45 to 32. There is no official notification from your lender, your city government, or your real estate agent. The market just quietly shifts beneath you while the monthly mortgage payment, based on the price you paid at a different moment in a different market, stays exactly the same. Fixed payment. Declining asset. That gap, between what you owe and what you own, is where equity goes to die in a falling market. Location 5 on the warning map is not a city. It is not a county. It is not a neighborhood. It is a line. An invisible line drawn zip code, by actuaries in offices you will never see, based on algorithms you will never read, with consequences for your ability to buy a home that no one in the transaction chain is legally required to warn you about before you make your offer. In 2026, insurance companies are redrawing their risk maps at the zip code level. That is what a May 2026 analysis by agency Height found when it studied how carriers are retreating from exposure across the country. Not state by state. Not county by county. Zip code by zip code. Address by address, in some cases. What this means in practice is almost absurd when you say it out loud. 2 houses. Same street. Same construction decade. Same school district. Same flood zone. Same everything that a buyer can see and evaluate and factor into an offer. Different zip codes. The house on the left, insurable at a rate that makes the monthly payment work. The house on the right, no carrier available at any rate a conventional lender will accept. The family that wants the house on the right cannot buy it. Not because their credit is bad. Not because they do not have a down payment. Because an invisible line that neither they nor their agent nor their lender can see on any public map has placed that address in a coverage desert. Here is the full mechanical sequence of how this plays out, because the end of this chain is what should make every buyer in America pay attention. Family finds a house. Loves it. Price is right. Inspection is clean. Everyone is ready to move. The lender requires homeowners insurance. The buyer calls carriers. Either nobody will write the policy, or the quotes come back at numbers that blow the monthly budget completely. The deal dies. The seller, exhausted and now behind on 2 mortgage payments while the house has been sitting, receives a cash offer from an investment firm. 10–15% below asking. No contingencies. 2-week close. Seller takes it. The family who almost owned that house is now, 6 months later, writing a monthly rent check to the entity that bought it. For a home they were approved to purchase. In a zip code that a map nobody shows you decided was not available to them. Adam's most recent foreclosure data shows exactly where insurance pressure is landing hardest in real time. Delaware. New Jersey. South Carolina. Florida. These are the states with the worst current foreclosure rates, and they are the same states where insurance carriers are most aggressively repricing and retreating. One analyst made it simple: it is not the mortgage payments doing this. It is the bills around the mortgage. You can own a home outright. Paid off completely. 0 mortgage balance. And still lose it over a $15,000 insurance bill you cannot cover in a single calendar year. The carrying cost becomes the foreclosure trigger, not the loan. That is the full picture of what is happening inside the invisible zip code. Alright, let's come up for air. Because this video is not designed to make you afraid of buying a home. It is designed to make you afraid of buying a home without this information. There is a real difference between those two things. And that difference is worth protecting. Homeownership remains the single most powerful wealth-building tool available to the American middle class. The Federal Reserve data is unambiguous on this. The average homeowner's net worth is roughly 40 times that of the average renter. Not because homeowners are smarter or work harder. Because compounding equity, over time, in an asset that is also your shelter, produces generational financial stability in a way that renting simply cannot replicate. We are not anti-homeownership. We are anti-ambush. So here is where the same data shows real opportunity right now. In Atlanta, institutional investors are now selling at a ratio of nearly 2 properties for every one they acquire, according to Parco Labs data from April 2026. They are offloading inventory. When the same entities that dominated a market for a decade start rotating out, individual buyers who do their full homework, insurance quote first, tax bill second, total monthly cost against 30% of household income third, may find a window of motivated sellers that has not existed in that market in years. In Colorado and Indiana, the property tax appeal windows are either open or opening. In Colorado, typically May 1st through June 1st. In Indiana, the Marion County deadline for 2025 assessed values is June 15, 2026. 3 in 4 homeowners have never filed. The process is real, the protection is statutory, and the financial stakes of doing nothing have rarely been higher. And in any market where insurance availability is your concern, run the quote before you run the numbers on the house. Not during due diligence. Not after the offer. Before you let yourself fall in love with a property. One call to a local independent insurance broker, with the specific address and the specific zip code, before you write a single dollar on an offer letter. Because the warning map we just walked through is not a map of cities to avoid. It is a map of information that the transaction chain has no incentive to give you before you commit. We are the incentive now. Now, if this map changed how you are thinking about where to buy, you need to see the other side. Because while these markets are flashing warning signs, there are 7 cities right now where middle-class families are building real equity. Prices up 8, 10, 17% year over year. No insurance trap. No tax ambush. No going up against a cash offer you can never match. That video is right here. Which zip code on this warning map hits closest to home for you? Drop it in the comments below. We read every single one.